Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Smash the gangs. That is what the Prime Minister promised us. Trust me, I will stop the boats from coming. But 70,000 later, and 1,000 in the last week, and too many young men that pose a threat to national security. Is it not time to admit Smash the Gangs has been a total abject failure, along, frankly, with most of his other policies? Isn't it now time, he told us, as summer approaches, what is Plan B?
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, this is from the man and the party that voted against giving law enforcement counter-terrorism style powers to tackle that. So he wants the grievance, he doesn't want it sorted. And he has absolutely no judgment. He again said, let's join the war, let's all go to war. I want to make it perfectly clear he wants the war. A week later, screeching U-turn, we don't want to go to war. And he says, trust his judgment. Mr. Speaker, it's hard to take anything he says seriously. He promised lower tax, and now reform councils are hiking council tax by 9%. In Worcestershire, this is what he said about Worcestershire. He said, we took control of a virtually bankrupt council. I wish we hadn't bothered. He asked for people's votes, and then he abandons them. Reform don't want to solve problems, they only want to exploit them. I am thankful for the opportunity to change this country for the better. He says he wish he hadn't bothered winning councils, because they're an absolute disgrace.
Nigel Farage put forward a blunt, straightforward question, and instead of meeting it head-on, his opponents offered a weak response that barely touched the issue. Rather than holding their ground and defending their position with clarity, the situation quickly slipped out of their control, ending with an abrupt walkout from the Commons that only magnified the pressure and drew even more attention to their handling of the moment. The optics were hard to ignore, and the backlash came fast, with Richard Tice stepping in to deliver a sharp, focused rebuttal that reframed the episode as far more than a routine clash. It became a test of accountability, leadership, and the readiness to face uncomfortable scrutiny without retreat, turning what could have been a brief exchange into a defining moment that left serious doubts about who was prepared to stand firm when challenged.
Tice, the Reform Deputy Leader, why have you walked out of the PMQs?
Oh, I mean, we're just furious. It's ridiculous. Nigel asked a very serious question about something of great concern to tens of millions of British citizens about the fact that the smashing the gangs policy for the illegal migrants has completely failed, 70,000 people, and the Prime Minister's us banging on about the war and councils. I mean, there's no dinghies and boats in Staffordshire, for heaven's sake, Prime Minister. They're coming across the English Channel. We're sick of it. It's the second time in a row the Prime Minister's refused to ask a question. The whole point is, the clue's in the name. It's called Prime Minister's Questions. He has to answer our questions, not the other way around. And the Speaker, frankly, needs to sort something out, because this is becoming a farce.
Well, he said last week, didn't he, that he's not in charge of the answers the PM gives to Kemi Badenoch. But wasn't that just a stunt, frankly, to draw attention to a small party like yours?
I tell you what it is. It is a very serious demonstration of fury on behalf of tens of millions of British people that the Prime Minister will not answer a serious question about what's his Plan B strategy to stop the boats, because Plan A, smashing the gangs, has just encouraged the gangs. We've got more boats, more illegals coming across than before the general election. His policies utterly failed, as we predicted it would do, and he's just trying to sort of deflect and distract. It's absurd.
So it wasn't planned then?
No, it was just a demonstration of anger on behalf of tens of millions of British voters. What it'll mean is more people will vote for us, hopefully, on May the 7th, as a demonstration of their anger with this Prime Minister.
Point of order. Can I refer you to paragraph 22.9 of Erskine May, which stresses the primary importance of ministerial responsibility. Now, we've got to admit that Prime Ministers have always tried to dodge questions at Prime Minister's Question Time, and you're not responsible for the answers they give. But what we have seen in recent weeks is not just dodging questions, but every question asked to the Prime Minister, he refers to the Leader of the Opposition's policies. This is not Leader of the Opposition policies, it's Prime Minister's question. And the whole...
Can I just say, once again, I said last week,
I have not the responsibility or the authority for the answers. What I would say is, it's incumbent on ministers to try and ensure there is an answer, but it is not for me to judge whether the answer is correct or not. You will be politicising the church. If that's what the House wishes to do, by all means do so. But I have not got the power. Once again, I reiterate.
That was a fair and direct question from Nigel Farage, yet the response that followed felt weak and sidestepped the heart of the issue, and instead of confronting it with clarity, tensions quickly escalated until the situation took a dramatic turn with a walkout from the Commons, a move that only amplified criticism and placed their handling under an even harsher spotlight. Richard Tice wasted no time calling it out, arguing that questions raised in that chamber reflect the concerns of the public and demand clear, honest answers, but rather than providing that clarity, the reply leaned toward political point scoring, shifting focus toward reform instead of addressing the matter directly, which came across as evasive and underwhelming. The concern deepened when the Speaker's handling of events also drew scrutiny after Prime Minister's questions, particularly when a Conservative MP challenged the lack of accountability, suggesting this wasn't confined to one side but affecting both Conservatives and Reform when seeking straight responses. Once again, the Speaker distanced himself, maintaining he could not take responsibility as a point of order emphasized the importance of ministerial accountability. While leaders have long tried to sidestep difficult questions and the Speaker does not determine the content of answers, what's unfolding now feels like more than routine deflection. It's becoming a pattern where questions are repeatedly redirected toward the opposition instead of being addressed. The Speaker reiterated that he lacks authority to judge whether answers are adequate, stressing ministers are responsible for what they say, yet that stance exposes a deeper concern. Even without controlling responses, the role still involves upholding standards and balance in the House, and when scrutiny appears to weaken, it raises doubts about whether that balance is holding. He may not be able to force a direct reply, but many argue he should at least ensure questions aren't brushed aside so easily, otherwise the purpose of that weekly accountability session starts to lose meaning. This has been happening for too long, shifting the tone from debate to disregard, not just for MPs but for the public they represent, and while it can be framed as party politics, that doesn't justify avoiding clarity. These questions are asked on behalf of the public, and they deserve transparency rather than deflection, and as Farage pointed out, frustration is growing because people are still waiting for straight answers, so share your thoughts below and subscribe for more sharp, no-nonsense analysis.